Okay, looks like everyone is in the webinar, so I will just take a quick moment and say welcome. Thank you for joining us for our Merrimack College webinar series. My name is Gianna Vacola, and I have the pleasure of serving as Dean of Undergraduate Admission. Tonight, we're here to introduce one of Merrimack's newest majors, Architecture and Architectural Study. So we're really excited to share more about this innovative program, the opportunities it offers, and how it prepares students for success in this growing field. So joining me today are two of my colleagues. I'm here with Nancy Wynn, who's the Associate Dean and Chair of the department. And I'm also here with Dr. Katie Bonnier, who's the Director of our Architecture program. So we will begin with a short presentation and then move into a live Q&A. So if at any point in time you do have questions for us, please by all means just drop them into the Q&A feature or the chat feature, and we'll be able to respond to those either live tonight or one of my colleagues, Kayla, is behind the scene and she'll be able to chat you some answers as well. So once again, thank you so much for coming, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So Merrimack College combines the resources of a larger university with the personal touch of a smaller, close-knit community. As an Augustinian Catholic school, that really informs the values of who we are and who we aspire to be as an institution. We are just 25 miles north of Boston, which gives our students access to internships, to the culture of the city, and also co-op and career opportunities as well. On campus, you'll find more than 4,000 undergraduate students and over 2,500 graduate students as well. We also boast a 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. With over 100 different undergraduate programs and 30 plus graduate programs, there are plenty of options to explore, all with strong faculty support along the way. So Merrimack College's academic programs are divided into 6 schools. We have the Girard School of Business, Arts and Sciences, Engineering and Computational Sciences, Nursing and Health Sciences, Education and Social Policy, and then our Graduate School of Counseling and Social Work. This structure gives flexibility to explore different fields, the possibility of combining majors and minors, and working across various disciplines. So if you're not sure what you want to study yet, we've got a great advising team that will help you chart your path. But what we're really excited about tonight is introducing the Architecture and Architectural Studies program as part of our School of Arts and Sciences. So let's talk a little bit about what's new at Merrimack. We are changing the traditional model of higher education. For far too long, families have felt that a high quality private education could be out of reach for them, and we are bent on changing that. So we have spent a lot of time rethinking tuition pricing, and we're committed to offering degrees that are competitively priced with public options and give you a lot of choice and flexibility. So our goal at the end of the day is to stay competitive with the private schools and the public schools and give you a private education at a public school price. This disruption is already in the works right now. Last year, we launched our first affordable $17,000 tuition degree in the humanities, which drew nearly 75 students into that program. We are now building on that success, introducing a Bachelor of Arts in Government and a Bachelor of Arts in Creative Arts and Design, both priced at $17,000. We're also doing a flexible tuition model with architecture as well. So that tuition is set at $33,500 for the year. Our goal is to provide excellence at an affordable price, and that is truly the Merrimack promise. So what you'll see on the screen is a rendering of our new lecture hall. So we are very quickly growing the footprint of our campus. This spring, we will open a brand new 19,000 square foot lecture hall featuring 5 modern classrooms and space for over 700 students. This facility is designed with collaboration and active learning in mind and aligns Merrimack's forward-thinking academic programs. Also, we are in the process of building new residence halls as well. These two buildings will be open in fall 26 and will add 540 additional beds to campus. They will provide both traditional and suite style options, plus an honors pavilion, fitness center, and 12,000 square feet of academic space and more. This will be a new vibrant hub for student life and learning right at the heart of campus. Lastly, I just want to touch a little bit on financial aid. As you heard me mention, affordability is central to the Merrimack mission. 99% of our students receive some form of financial aid, and they receive scholarships ranging from $1,000 up to $35,000 annually, depending on their program of study. In this case, we're here talking about architecture. So you can see that listed on the screen here with an average merit and need-based scholarship range ranging between $5,000 and $20,000 per year. On top of that, filing the FAFSA can open up more doors as well. Students have the potential of earning an additional $15,000 in federal and state aid to offset the cost of a Merrimack tuition. Together, we believe that this makes Merrimack a more realistic choice for many families so that you don't have to sacrifice the quality of an education. So, to wrap things up for my portion, I just want to emphasize what makes Merrimack special, especially as you consider the architecture programs here. It's not just the strength of our academic programs, but also the supportive community of faculty, staff, and peers who are invested in your success here. And we know that outcomes matter. 96% of our graduates are employed, going to graduate school, or doing a combination of both within 9 months of leaving Merrimack. We're also proud to say that the median salary 10 years out of college for our graduates surpasses the national average by far. So our alumni are earning, the average median earning is over $122,000 10 years out from their career. And as I said, surpasses the national average. So for students who are focused on architecture and architectural study, coming to Merrimack means that you'll gain creative and technical skills, as well as practical skills that will help you enhance a career in design, planning, and beyond. So again, I'm proud of what we are doing here at Merrimack. You're going to get a tremendous amount of value plus real returns. So with that, I am pleased to introduce and hand things over to my colleague, Dr. Katie Bonnier, to tell you a little bit more about the Architecture and Architectural Studies program.
Thanks, Gianna. And thanks everybody for making time in the middle of your week and at the end of your day. I really appreciate it. So to orient you to what I'm going to try to do, we're launching 2 undergraduate programs in fall. And I'll talk a little bit first about the Bachelor of Science and then about the Bachelor of Arts in Architectural Studies. But after tonight, you can still get in touch. So we're going to run through things quickly enough that we can take your questions. It might be a lot of information all at once. The final slide, spoiler alert, will be my email and Nancy Wynn's email so that you can get in touch. And then in addition, you can come to our on-campus open house on October 18th, and Nancy and I will be present for that and happy to meet with you. So architecture. Architecture students will imagine and build a better world. Merrimack is constructed of great faculty with a strong drive to make an impact in the world. And so this new architecture program or programs are going to fit in well at Merrimack and really serve students and their families. Students, whether in the BA or the BS, are learning to work both by hand and with digital tools. By the 3rd year, you're working in design studios with communities and professionals. And even from the 1st year, you're working to understand the environmental impact of your architectural designs. And you're having a lot of fun together, BA and BS, in studio courses where you learn flexible ways of design. there are a million ways to practice architecture. That's the thing I want you to think about when you think about Merrimack. I've been teaching for about a dozen years. And in my experience, architecture can be huge. You can be working in big teams. You can be designing airports. You can be traveling to Singapore. Or you can be working on small handcrafted homes with small teams. Because Merrimack is a right-sized college, big enough to be vibrant, but small enough to pay attention and care about their students, we're really hoping that we are creating pathways for each type of student and will support them through it. So the other beauty of this new program or programs at Merrimack is that we're working closely with engineering, with the arts, and with construction management. So there will be overlapping courses that really magnifies your skills and also magnifies your social groups and future connections. So I'll walk you through first the Bachelor of Science, then the Bachelor of Arts. The simple difference is the Bachelor of Arts starts with an architectural foundation. And then as you move second, third, and fourth year, you have more electives. You can take more courses in other arts, in design. And so you become a very nimble, skilled designer, but the foundation is architecture. The BS is what we call a pre-professional degree. Merrimack is launching a professional graduate program, an MArch, in 2030. The BS is a 4-year pre-professional degree that sets you up to go straight into that graduate program at the end of your 4 years, if you choose. So that has all the same foundations as the BA, but also gives you more experience in design, advanced design, building technology, and structures. So we'll start with the BS. And as I run through these slides, please be typing all your questions into the chat. Also, as I said, you can always email me later. I do have an email address on the last slide. So the BS is that direct route to graduate study. It does have those foundations. Everybody, BA or BS, I'll restate this because it really marks Merrimack as a unique program, is that you're starting in an art studio working by hand, building physical models, but then you're working in 3D modeling and 2D drawing digitally. So whether BA or BS, you'll have both hand tools and digital tools. This is a course outline for the 4 years. You can find this on our website, and I'm just going to zoom in year by year and go through them quickly so you understand how the BS works. For year 1, you're starting with foundation studies, a little bit of mathematics. If you have any worry about, oh, I can't do the BS because I don't do math, please do not be concerned. I was one of those students myself and went on to get an MArch and a PhD in architecture. And Merrimack has a great tutoring and math center in the library where you can sign up online and get help at the time you need it. So don't worry too much about that, but that is a foundation. And then in addition, we have an ecological design course. I'm teaching that in partnership with folks in the environmental sciences department, and the intro to architecture, which will be open to anyone in the college. So that could be an elective if you do choose another major. Year 2 is where everyone, BA and BS, gets up to speed with digital drawing and digital fabrication using tools like 3D printers, laser cutters. For the BS, uniquely, they're doing Intro to Construction Management, another great program at Merrimack, and they're doing Statics and Structure. That's also through construction management, actually. So they're beginning to understand how buildings behave and how you build them. Year 3, Communities and Practice. So at this point in that central design studio where you're really working in a large group, but getting individualized instruction, drawing, interviewing clients. In this case, in the fall, BA and BS are working with community groups. Merrimack has very strong commitment to the community and very strong engagement with community-oriented groups. So both will be in that together. In the spring, that's where the BS really splits off, where you're doing more professional practice, you're preparing for a co-op, and you're working in an architecture studio with professional architects. So that's where that building knowledge really kicks in for the Bachelor of Science. And then you're moving in summer term to a co-op. So it's a 7-week co-op It's 40 hours a week, and we're arranging and organizing and supporting you and managing that process, and it is credited. Let's move to year 4. So your final year in the BS, you are doing thesis. So research and innovation is really key to architecture. For the BS, what's key is that a thesis is something that you work on where you work directly with faculty to pinpoint a type of project that you want to understand better. It's building your own portfolio. It's doing a unique project, unique to you, but getting direct support from faculty across the year. You're also doing more advanced digital visualization, digital fabrication. So you're using those tools in our fabrication lab and getting a little bit more time for some electives where you might branch out into other courses. So that's the 4-year course for the Bachelor of Science. If we move to the next slide, this is the sort of summary that really clarifies for you how that breaks down and how we see that working. And the next slide, please. So where does the BS go? It does set you up directly if you choose to enter our MArch, Masters of Architecture, which is the professional degree needed for practice that's launching in 2030. That's fantastic. But no matter what you choose, you're getting very strong design skills, building skills, technology skills, and you really can end up working in many different aspects of urban design, of planning, of community engaged design, of fabrication, of digital design. So you do have a lot available to you after you finish the BS. Let's look at the next slide. So shifting over to the BA, I'm sure you're all thinking the BS sounds so fantastic. What could be better? The BA, I'm timing out my camera, sorry. The BA also has that same strong foundation, but we call it a studio-based, just like architecture is studio-based, a liberal arts program. That means because we are in a college with very strong departments, you're able to take more courses in the arts, graphic design, and Nancy Wynn, who is the Associate Dean of Creative Arts, Design, and Architecture. She'll be closing this presentation. In the past decade, she has built and overseen a fantastic creative arts and design program. And so in the BA, you can branch out and try other aspects of design besides architecture. Let's go to the next slide. So this is that curriculum map. This, again, if you go on our website, you can click directly through to this map. And let's zoom in, as we did before, quickly to year 1. Year 1 is very, very similar, almost identical to the BS. You're sharing all your courses, you're doing the foundation studios, you're drawing, you're doing ecological design. If we move to the next slide, year 2, you're still in studio and drawing and making and working digitally now, side by side with the BS. But as you can see, we have these art and culture courses. So you get a little bit more of art and indeed a little bit more architecture history. And then you begin to branch out. You're still sharing the global cities and environments. Again, that's shared by both majors, where you're learning about urbanism and environment together. Let's go to year 3. And year 3 is where you really begin to see the BA open up to a wider range of possibilities. So you're doing the community engaged design, and we're conducting that in an ethical manner. So we're learning how to do that properly. But then you can go into graphic design, visual storytelling. You have elective studios. Again, Nancy can speak more to that, but that might mean that you're choosing a painting studio, graphic design, or some other aspect. And then you have additional electives available to you in your 3rd year. So if the BS has an architectural thesis where you're working on an architectural project that you develop, the year 4 in the BA as a capstone, you can actually choose all different types of projects. And again, Nancy can speak to this at the end, that you might choose to design that indeed you might have an architectural foundation. You will have an architectural foundation in a BA, but you might choose to do something else, designing a website, designing a product, something of that nature. And Again, you have more electives building up in year 4. This again is just an outline to show you how this shifts across the 4 years. A question will probably come up. Can you do co-op if you're in the BA? The answer is yes, you can. It's required for the BS. It is optional for the BA, but certainly we will support you as best we can as well in moving towards a summer internship if that is what you choose, but it is not a requirement. So, skills and careers. Again, you're getting all the basics and all the foundations of architecture. You're working digitally, but then you have a sort of widening of possibilities in year 3 and 4 where you might choose a different type of design that you want to pursue. And you have additional electives as well in that 3rd and 4th year. So you could do drawings for an architecture firm. You could do digital design, visual communication. The thing that you won't have in the BA is that sort of nuts and bolts technical knowledge of how to make a building, the materials, the connections, the structures. That really comes through in the BS. So this was a little sketch, a digital sketch that I made when I was first thinking about Merrimack and what its program might be for architecture, saying that, we have a wonderful, vibrant community. We have brilliant faculty. We have a creative arts and design program that really nurtures creativity in a way that is super fun, but also rigorous. And then we're hoping that we can support students in pursuing their unique curiosities and interests, which really in turn opens them to multiple possibilities. So this is where I'll leave it. We're going to move through the next few slides just quickly, but we're almost there. So this is, again, talking about nuts and bolts. This is addressing questions that might come up. At this point, there is no portfolio required to enter. Gianna can talk more about admissions on the admissions side. We will send you information if you're accepted. A couple things that would happen is testing to find out where you land and where you'd be placed in math courses if you're taking math. Be sharing information about the type of laptop you'd need to acquire to run some of the architectural software. And if folks are transferring in, they are actually going to have a portfolio to make sure they keep up with the folks who come in as freshmen. So affordable excellence, I think Gianna covered this perfectly. The Merrimack is growing, but it is growing while deepening its quality and commitment to students. So it's a great time to launch an architecture program. Both BA or BS have access to service learning or study abroad. Both will be engaged with real world projects. At year 1, you're going to be, even when you're starting drawing, you'll be trekking around outdoors, drawing and studying things in the real world. Co-ops, internships, fantastic faculty, and a truly close-knit creative community. So any of these programs are going to be just fantastic for you or your child. So here's the closing slide. So I'll leave the final words to Nancy, the Associate Dean and Chair of our overall department. And then you have my info. As I said, I will be Saturday, October 18th on campus for our open house. If you want to schedule one-on-one time to chat, just send me an email. If you have questions after tonight, just send me an email. I'm happy to answer them. And I'll hand it off to Nancy.
Thanks, Katie. That was great. Thank you for laying that all out. Beautiful job. And what a great program we have here. I'm really super excited. As Katie said, I've been here for 10 years and have really grown the department to include all sorts of exciting new options. So some questions might come up, such as what other what other courses might be helpful. Katie mentioned a few design courses. Yes, that's true. You also could take, advanced drawing courses, some painting courses, but we have 3D courses here. We have an independent studio course. There's lots of other options, but if you also are interested in photography or videography, there's courses in that. So as you're kind of structuring your own creative plan and practicing what you want to kind of investigate, you might think about how might your skills help an architectural firm or a construction firm or a real estate firm or other types of businesses that might intersect architecture. And all those courses are really interesting. We also have some entrepreneur classes that might be helpful too. The last thing I'll just point out really quickly is the fourth year. We do something similar. We do have the research and capstone class in the fall. It is a writing intensive course. I'm teaching it right now, and I have 18 students that are working hard to try to figure out what they want to do for the rest of the whole year, focusing on a capstone project, some passion project that they have, or something more that they want to learn about. And they're all across the majors. So what's really beautiful about the program too is you come in with a cohort, you stay with the cohort and get to know some students really well. Then you would go off and do some more architectural courses along the way, come back to your cohort at the end. So you'll be with other creative types and other in your creative community, which helps build relationships throughout the all 4 years. So as they're struggling and challenging themselves to figure out what their capstone's going to be, they're also helping their fellow students figure it out too. So you research and you write a research paper to give your capstone project depth and knowledge. Then in the spring semester, as you see, you have a senior seminar class, and that's all about making. So you spent the whole semester making the project realized, and then you share it in a public exhibition in the spring, mostly in May, through graduation. So your family and friends can come and celebrate all your work that you've worked really hard on to kind of visualize and share. So that's just a quick recap, just to kind of show you what the BA also has to offer. So let's go jump back to the last slide just so that everybody can gain the emails again. And please reach out, as Katie said, and we'll answer any questions. I love to take questions from students all the time. So thank you.
Thank you both so much. That was fantastic. I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure the folks that are tuning in did as well. So at this point in time, we would love to be able to open it up to any questions that you might have in the audience. Feel free to use the Q&A feature, and it will pop right up on our screens, and we'd be happy to take your questions, or you can also enter them into the chat too, whatever you can find on your screen, but we're happy to hang out for a moment and see if there are any questions. Okay, we do have one question that just came in. Can students switch between the two majors if they don't know which option they'd like to pursue yet?
The short answer is yes, but it would be your first year is almost identical. So when we think about the BA, BS, they're very similar. There's a slight difference in maybe sneaking in a little more math for the BS, but all of those particular math classes are also offered sort of off schedule. So really at the end of the first year, if you were in the BA or the BS and decided you wanted to switch directions, that would be possible. We just have to review where you were at and see if you needed any additional course to jump right into the fall. But for most folks, it would be very easy to do. After you get into year 2, year 3, you might really need to do, if you're going BA to BS, you'd have to do a little catching up around the structures and whatnot. Nancy, do you want to speak to if someone were going BS to BA, which is a more open program? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be totally doable. And we also have a junior portfolio review. I'm sure that they would be able to take enough courses. You guys would be able to take enough courses to build a junior portfolio review, no problem. I don't see that being a problem at all.
Our next question is from Patrick, who wants to know how many students are in the Bachelor of Arts program versus the Bachelor of Science. And I know that will be tricky because this will be our first inaugural class, but if you had to wager a guess, how do you think that the numbers will fall?
What we are thinking for the first year, but I love the question, Patrick. We don't know exactly. That all comes down to you. What are you applying for? But what we are thinking about, preferably, is in the neighborhood for any architecture class that's a studio, to be a program that builds towards an accredited grad degree. You can only have 12 students per one faculty in any design studio class. So all of the design studios are taught side by side. When the BA and BS are in them, let's say we have 36 students come in next fall. That would be probably our ideal starting size, about 36. You're all learning together, and you'll have 3 instructors who trade off in little bits of instruction, who meet with students one-on-one, who sit with you at your desk or computer and help you work out the problems you're working on. Probably, maybe, there might be 24 BS and 12 BA. That's what we're thinking about. But Gianna can probably speak more to issues of admissions and everything else. But at this point, that's kind of what we're hoping.
I think that's absolutely a great question, and certainly something that, from the admission standpoint, we're really excited to see as we start to see applications come in for these 2 new degrees. Right now, I feel like it's one for one. We see an app come through for the BS, we see one come in through for the BA. And I think largely they're both going to be extremely popular programs. So as Katie and Nancy mentioned, we would love for you, if you do have a question about what might be the right fit for you, please feel free to reach out to any of us, and we're happy to provide guidance. Although I'm sure Katie and Nancy could do a better job than I could on the intricacies, but certainly we'd love to be able to answer your specific question about what might be the best fit for you. We had another question come in from Nicholas, who is interested in both architecture and construction management. Can we talk a little bit about what the differences between those programs might be, if it's possible to do a double major within architecture or architectural studies, and if it could be a complement to construction management?
So, Nicholas, I'll say, as I was, or as we were working on building this architecture curriculum, and Nancy indeed was working on it for much longer than I was. As we were formalizing and scheduling courses, I was working with John Richards, who is the director for construction management. And we were talking about, can we do a minor in each other's? How can we arrange our curriculum so students will have at least 2 or 3 courses together anyhow, no matter what. If you're in CM and the BS in particular that has building technology, you'll share 3 to 5 courses with each other. But the way it's working out now, it doesn't seem like you could do a double major. And the reason for this is the BS has so many required courses in it. And the reasoning is that we're trying to get you into a master's program that would be accelerated. In other words, you can do a BS and move straight into what we're hoping is a condensed and shorter version of a Master of Architecture. So there's really so much coursework there, it'd be hard to be a double major. We are trying to work on, or I'm trying to work on, a way that there could be an architecture minor, but we are just sort of formalizing that probably in the next month, whether that would be possible. What John decided to do, and he can speak to that more, is he decided to set up a business as a more matching sort of promoted minor. If you go into CM, it's very easy through the courses you're taking to then have a minor in business. In terms of the difference, if you're choosing between the two, John and I have talked about this at length. He's coming in as an engineer and someone who's interested in schedule, cost, scope, getting projects done on time. So if you're a construction manager, you don't have probably any say in the design, except that you are doing some amount of pricing potentially, which might cause that client to change their mind. But if you give your client a price and they say, that's too expensive, I want something else, then they're going to return to the architect. And the architect is the person who has to understand not only how the building is built, how it will impact the site, environment, community, but also has to really care about how it feels to be in that space, how light works, how people might feel at ease or active depending on that site. So there's a bit more interrogation of how people feel, what the aesthetic effect is on the architecture side. That said, if you are going to be a really good architect, you better know how to run a project. It's also necessary if you're going to be licensed eventually to understand all the steps in project management, all the steps in estimating and moving forward that building. So I hope that was probably too much of an answer. I would say also that I may have mentioned it before, but a BA can also go into the master's program. You would just have to do, we'd have to sort of formulate for you what may be the additional coursework, and it would be a fair amount of additional coursework. So we're developing that parallel track. If you should do the 4-year BA and decide you want to do a master's, you'll just have a longer time in the graduate program. Other questions?
Looks like
Can
we
I
have
jump?
one. Oh, sure.
Can
Go
I
ahead,
just jump in?
Nancy.
So one
Mhm.
of the things I also wanted to mention too, and maybe Katie, you can circle back, and perhaps the BA in construction management can work well together. And I know that Gianna probably can help out and give some knowledge later on in an email about Merrimack has a double degree program. I've had numerous students in the creative arts major in 2 different degrees, right? So there's many more credits that you have to do. If you don't bundle them in a certain way or take some summer or winter term classes, you might not finish in 4 years, but I've had numerous people finish in 4 years and get 2 separate degrees. So if you have questions about that, I'm sure Gianna can answer them in an email.
Mhm. Looks like we have one final question that has come through, and it's about the application process for the program with a specific note about portfolio. And just to clarify, is it a requirement for the BA or the BS or neither?
It is not required for either the BA or the BS at this point. And the thinking, Gianna can talk more about the overall application process, but there's 2 ways that at least I'm thinking about this right now. And number one is, having worked around between being in school and teaching and working in firms and working in video games, sort of working all over in design. There are a lot of folks who are very good at drawing, but it doesn't mean that you're going to develop that sort of spatial intelligence around architecture if it's not what you love and care about. We can teach you everything you need to be an architect. We can teach you how to develop your own imagination. We can teach you how to draw. All of that is teachable. But in looking at years and years and years and years of applications at other schools, I can say that there isn't actually a direct correspondence. As long as you can express yourself using a line or using a computer, which is now really the what is used when you're working in practice, that's how you communicate. So if you do have great work, for instance, I've seen students who are carpenters, who are jewelry makers, who are doing ceramics, who are some of the most skilled architectural students I've taught. And they came in with limited drawing skills, but they had a real vision for space and form and texture and material. But at the freshman level, I've actually been working with the instructor as recently as yesterday to talk about all the fun things we're going to do in the first 2 weeks that really let students explore different ways of mark making and drawing. So you don't need that experience prior to an undergrad. For the graduate degree, if folks want to enter our MArch who don't come from Merrimack, that will be a very rigorous program, because we can't let folks into the graduate program unless they have a pretty highly developed portfolio, just like you will have if you go through the BS or the BA.
Thank
And
you.
I'll just,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
and I'll just say that, yeah, you don't need a portfolio but I always talk to students that if you have a portfolio, please share it. You can email it to us, share a Google Drive or a Dropbox or however you want to do that. We'll look at it. If you took AP classes in a portfolio, AP drawing, AP2 design, whatever AP classes that are creative, and you did the testing and you got the number, it's great. That definitely counts. But the portfolio of work is really important because if you're a wonderful drawer, we don't want to put you in drawing one if you're just not going to be challenged. Again, one of the things is it's really important to have rigorous programs at Merrimack. So we want to make sure that you're challenged all the time. So if you have a portfolio, please share it, even though it is not required.
It's a great point. Mhm. And just to touch a little bit more on our application process, about a year ago, Merrimack made the decision to really rethink how we were asking students to apply to college. And we were hearing a lot of feedback from students, from families, from school counselors about one, how stressed students were going through the application process. They're looking at anywhere from 10 to 15 schools, which schools require multiple writing samples, which schools require portfolios. I mean, it's enough to make your head spin, truly. So, what we wanted to do was, with many things that we do at Merrimack, really personalize the application experience for students, which means that you have a lot of choice in what you submit to be considered for admission for Merrimack. So, you'll, of course, submit the application. We are on the common application, so it makes it nice and easy for you to apply that way. There is no application fee at all, so you don't have to worry about that. And then the only required document that we have is your transcript. Now, our average GPA for admission is about a 3.5, which is about an A minus B plus. So, if you are that type of student, that's right within our ballpark of what we would expect to see. We always expect to see students challenging themselves with honors courses, AP courses, dual enrollment courses, whatever is available within the context of your school. Aside from that transcript, as I mentioned, you have a lot of choice and flexibility. We know that some students are really stressed about the essay, so you may opt to submit a graded writing sample if that's something that you'd like to do in lieu of the written essay. We know a lot of students have atypical high school experiences where they may be going from one school to the next, or perhaps they're homeschooled and they don't have that teacher connection. So maybe you don't want to submit a letter of recommendation. That's okay too. So we really believe that you have a lot of choice. We want you to highlight your strengths. And that might be different for Katie, for Nancy, for myself. We may approach the application differently, and that's okay. We are also test optional as well. So you may choose to submit your SAT or ACT scores, although admittedly, we are not using them for admission or for scholarshiping decisions. We are looking primarily at that high school transcript for that. But if you feel that they are a strong representation for you, you are certainly able to submit them, but we're not going to spend a lot of time and put a lot of weight on them. The Common Application itself has about 200 questions on it. For better or for worse, we're going to learn a lot about you in that document as well. You're going to tell us about your involvement, any achievements you've received in high school or college for that matter. So we will learn a lot about you. And you also have the opportunity to have informal conversations with your admission counselor that can help enhance your application. So, our first deadline is coming up November 15th for early action and early decision. So if you are that AB type of student, I would definitely encourage you to apply early. If you are a student that is showing a positive trajectory and you are having an amazing senior year and you want us to consider those senior grades, you might want to consider applying either early action 2 or regular decision. The date for early action 2 is January 15th, February 15th for regular decision. So we've got a lot of options. And if you don't know what is best for you, reach out to the Office of Admission. We'll put you in touch with your admission counselor who would be happy to go over the pros and cons of each and talk to you about what might be the best benefit for you. Okay, it looks like we are finished with questions. So, Katie, Nancy, thank you so much for being with us tonight. You two are incredible and such a wealth of knowledge, and we are so lucky to have you, as will our future students. So, thank you for joining us, and I'm sure our students will reach out if they have any questions for you.
Thank you, Gianna.
You are
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much. Thanks,
Good
Well,
night,
everybody.
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you at an upcoming event, whether it's another virtual webinar or coming to our open house. We have one coming up October 18th. We would all love to meet you at that event. So thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful night, and we hope to see your application soon. Take care.